Hello everyone, welcome to the 5th installment of the Game Maker Studio tutorials for the absolute beginner. My name is Reese Warren and today we are going to be implementing my mystery mechanic I talked about and also a coin collection system. So the mystery mechanic, what is it, you may be asking? Well, essentially what I actually want to do is implement a squash feature into the game so that the player can actually compress his character down and fit through tight spaces in the walls. So the first thing we need to do, we actually need to add a small variant of the wall. Now, before I do anything, in the previous video there was actually a small little bug where the player overlapped in a corner when he jumped up against the top of a block and then got pushed back down again. Now to fix that, what you can actually do, if you go to the sprite and then click modify mask, uncheck where it says precise collision checking, and what it will be by default, it will say automatic here in bounding box, but if we change that to manual and then set bottom to something like 24, what that will do, that will actually decrease the size of the collision box so that the area that's actually highlighted now will not collide with the player. Now, if we're on top of the block, this is not going to be an issue, but if we're actually underneath the block, then we're not actually going to collide with the block until we actually get to that, defined area that we've set. So hit OK on that, and then that will actually fix that bug for us. The next thing I want to do is actually right click the sprite and then hit duplicate. And what we're going to be doing this for, I'm going to do SPR block underscore half. And we're actually going to click edit sprite, double click the image, and then we're going to go to the marquee tool, that's like a rectangle with dotted lines, drag a box over it, and then hit the delete key. Now that's actually created our half block variant of our initial sprite. So now if we right click the block and then duplicate it and then rename it to obj block underscore half, like so, and then change the sprite to SPR block half and then hit OK. We want to keep it remaining as a solid. It's got the same mechanics that way, and then we can simply add the block to the room. So go to the object tab in the room editor, that is, and then select obj block half and then add the block somewhere in the room. Well, I'm going to put it there so we can actually slide underneath it. Then hit the tick mark to save the changes, and now we actually want to edit the obj player. So to do this, it's actually rather simple. There's one thing we haven't done though, and that is actually edit the sprite of a player. Now why will we be editing this? Well, in the previous tutorial it was actually set to 0 in the origin, so x is 0, y is 0. But what I actually did, I changed this variable to 31. Now the sprite itself is actually 32 pixels, but it starts at 0. So if we add 32 to 0, in computer terms it actually equals 31, because 0 is actually considered a pixel. So yeah, set y to 31 on that. That will actually mean that when we unsquash the player, they will actually expand upwards and then not collide with the block underneath, which is what we want. So hit OK on that, and then go to the player. Now, when we press the down key, I actually want it to squash. So, but then I want it to unsquash when we release the down key. So to do that, add an event, but we're not going to be using keyboard this time. We're going to be using key press. Now that's essentially setting a variable while the key is held down. So add key press down, and then we're going to be adding another event afterwards. But in the meantime, I'm actually going to go to control and then set a variable in key press down. Now the variable is actually going to be image underscore y scale, like so, and then this variable is going to equal 0.5. Now what have I just done there? Essentially, the image underscore y scale variable is actually a predefined variable in every object inside GameMaker. And what I've essentially just done, I've essentially shrunk the size of our player by a factor of 0.5. So that's essentially halved the scale in the y-axis of our player. Now, when you press the up key, yeah, it doesn't actually do anything. But we actually want to de-shrink the player when they release the down key. So to do that, we can actually right-click this, duplicate event, but then we're going to do key release down, like so. So we've got set variable image x scale equals 0.5 in the key release down, but we're actually going to set that back to 1 again. So all that has done, that has actually allowed us to squash the player when we hold down the down key, and then the minute we release it, he pops back up again. So now if I actually try to go underneath the small hole here, he should fit through, but there's actually one minor bug with it. Okay, so what we've actually done, we've duplicated the sprite, but in doing so we've also duplicated the bounding box for the collision. So simply set that to automatic, and that will fix the issue. Oh, sorry about that. This will definitely work now. So yeah, we got a squash feature and we can actually jump about, but the minute I squash, I can actually slide through the area where I wasn't before. So I can actually like go up against the block, but the minute I squash, I can actually fit through, like so. Which is what we want. So now, now that we've actually got that done, the last thing I want to work on is like a coin collection feature. So it's actually rather easy this. All we need to do is add an object, create an object, and then we're actually going to call it obj underscore coin, and then we're going to select our new sprite that we've created, SPR coin, add an event, but this time it's going to be a collision event with obj player, and then simply set a variable. So we're actually going to like have our variable here. We're going to have like let's just think. It needs to be like global dot. Oh, actually no. What we can do, obj underscore player dot coins, and then it's going to be relative 1. So what I've actually just done there, I've defined a variable inside obj player. So while ever obj player is alive, there's going to be a coins variable inside of him. So the last thing we need to do, essentially, in the create event, we're going to set a variable in here now, and that variable is going to be equal to coins, like so, and then the value is going to be 0. So whenever we collide with a coin now, it's actually going to increase that variable, because remember we set it to relative, by 1. So it's going to add 1 every time we collide with it. So hopefully that should work. And then the last thing is simply destroy the instant. So that's in the main 1 tab, and then hit self. So that's going to destroy our obj coin. Now, in the player object, there's actually like one minor thing we need to do. We actually need to allow the coin variable to draw above the player. So to do that, add event, and then select draw, and then simply draw GUI. And then all we need to do is go to the draw tab, and we should be able to draw text, like so. Drag that in, draw text, and then we're going to do coins. Oh, actually, this needs to be in quotations as well. So, quotation, coins, and then do a colon, and then space, close the quotation, and then do a plus, and then we actually need to get that coins variable. So to do that, we need to convert the variable into a string. So that's actually rather easy. We can do string open bracket and then coins in lowercase, our actual variable name that we just created. So hit OK. Oh, and actually, let's just set that to x16, y16, and that should actually work now. So we've got our coins variable drawing on the screen. Oh, and it might actually help if we add some coins into the room. So let's put one there, one there, one there, and then one there. So we've got our coins, and then we can jump, and then we can collect those coins. Ooh, hello. Okay then, so we've actually got an error here. Value not set before reading it. Oh wait, yeah, I know the reason it's done that. That's because we've done obj player coins, but obj player is a reference to the object player, and I've actually not used the capital here, so that needs to be a capital P, and then that should fix it. So we can collect the coins, and notice our coins variable in the top left actually went to 1. So we can like collect these coins and essentially like go about on the map and collect these coins. So I've got 3 now. Then I can go up here and like collect 4, and yeah, like we got our basic level working in Game Maker. So yeah, this actually like ends the basic yeah, drag and drop system in Game Maker. That's as far as I'm actually going to take these tutorials. What I want to move on to next, now that I've introduced a few basic things, is actually recreating this game but using Game Maker language. So we're actually going to be touching on the programming aspect of like getting this game to work. But until episode 6, I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial, and I will see you in the next one. So thank you for watching.